esta última charla, donde quieras, ya está sentado. Y va a moderar a dos personas que ya hemos escuchado en esta Maker Faire. El primero es Gael Langevin, que lo conocemos del proyecto InMove, el pedazo de robot, así que come here. Un aplauso para Gael. Y el siguiente participante, perfecto, José Cordeiro, que lo hemos escuchado esta mañana, que nos ha venido a presentar iba a decir su disco, perdón, su libro, La muerte de la muerte, así que fuerte aplauso para José Cordeiro. Bueno, podría ser audiolibro también. Pues nada, os dejo con ellos y hablemos de transhumanismo para un domingo por la tarde. Perfecto.
Okay, we are near singularity, but the mic's still working in an old-fashioned way. First of all, if you want to present yourself in 2 minutes and tell the audience what you do and what is your impact in the new technologies.
Want to start or I start?
You.
Okay. Okay, so I created a robot that is 3D printed that you can see over here on the right. This robot is open source. That means you can download each part of this robot and create your own robot at home, in schools or universities. Which means that there's today a huge community following the project. More than 1,000 copies of this robot are built everywhere in the world in more than 98 universities, and this community is working together to create an artificial intelligence for the robot. So this brings me to the idea of what should be the artificial intelligence of tomorrow and how it should be done, how we should we conceive that artificial intelligence. That's what it is. And otherwise, I'm a sculptor designer. So I'm in 2 different levels. I'm not into robotic at first, but because of being a sculptor, and then I came into robotics because of the project. Yeah.
Okay, I am José Cordeiro. I'm Venezuelan, Spanish, American. I'm living now in Madrid, working on new technologies. I am an engineer from MIT. One of my professors was Marvin Minsky, who is one of the fathers of artificial intelligence. So from university days, I loved technology, artificial intelligence, robots, and many other technologies. Currently, I'm the vice president of the World Transhumanist Association, Humanity Plus, and I just held last month in Madrid a big international event called Transvision, which is the transhumanist yearly conference, and we had a very famous robot called Sophia. Sophia is the most advanced humanoid robot, also because she has an incredible hardware and software. Her hardware, basically, she has 35 micromotors in her face. She has more facial movements than many humans. And in terms of her software, her brain, which is not here, her brain actually is internet, is the net, is the cloud, depends on the connection that she has with internet, like InMove, in order to have a very fast processing power. She was fantastic. She opened the event last month in Madrid, and she spoke in 4 languages, the 4 official languages of Spain. She spoke in Galician, in Catalan, in Basque, and in Castilian. On top of that, she also spoke in English. And she's an example how robots are advancing as well, and how they can be physical and similar to humans. And we can create empathy towards these new creations, because we are going to have many robots in the future. Just like InMove is very human-like, it can be even more human-like. And Sophia actually is a copy of the British actress Audrey Hepburn, who is a very famous British actress. So.
Thank you, José. And what's your opinion about the incredible tech revolution in the last years? Of course, I'm sure you think that is very positive for the humankind, but what's your opinion about how the world will change in the next years with technology?
First of all, I think with robotics, robots are not going to be a special species. There's not going to be robots and humans. We are going to mix into each other. This is, I don't know, I can't say in how many years this is going to happen, but it's going to be rather fast, because what is going to happen? You lose a hand. Today we can replace the hand with a prosthetic that is okay, that is working pretty well. But in the future, in the near future, those hands are going to be super stronger than human hands. And we're going to be able to replace the arm. So let's say, furthermore, you lose your legs, you lose your arms, you are able to replace those limbs with artificial limbs, which could be even better than human limbs in the future. If we go even further into that kind of idea, you lose your body, but your brain is still okay. You could put that brain into an artificial body. And if we go even further, your brain is damaged physically, but your mind has been saved onto a microchip, for example. So this microchip contains every information of your brain. So you could put yourself into a modular system, into a robotic system, and move around with this. So this, I think, is what is going to be happening in the future. I'm not sure if it's exactly what I want, though. It's what is pretty much the perspective of what is coming out. That's what I see.
And José Luis, what do you think about the technology and the future, in the near future?
Well, I think that artificial technology is the mother of all new technologies, and everything will rely on artificial intelligence in the future. Just like now, electricity is everywhere, artificial intelligence will be everywhere in the next few years. And it is improving at an exponential rate. It is improving very fast, and it keeps on improving. And the new systems help us to develop the newer systems. And so it is a continuous improvement on the older technologies. And this will affect everything, including medicine, which is very positive, because now we have, for example, Dr. Watson by IBM. IBM has developed this new technology, which is artificial intelligence being applied to medicine. And Dr. Watson is already better doctor than many human doctors in certain areas, because it has all the literature about medicine in all languages, in French, in Spanish, in Chinese, in Russian. It is reading all the articles, all the magazines, all the journals that we humans cannot do. But for an artificial intelligence, it can do it very quickly, very fast. Also, Dr. Watson will have access to your human genome, which is fairly complex. It's 3 gigabytes of information that we humans cannot process. We cannot check it. We cannot find diseases or how to cure them just by looking at the genome. But artificial intelligence will do it. So actually, I am very excited, because not only will we have robots on the hardware side, artificial intelligence on the software side, but this will be used for everything, including medicine. This is one of the things I discuss in my book, The Death of Death, where artificial intelligence will help us to cure diseases like cancer, that human doctors cannot do it yet, but with artificial intelligence, we probably will be able to cure cancer in 10 years, as Microsoft says. That in that time frame, which is not too long, 10 years, after sequencing the human genome, we will find the mutations that create cancer. So imagine, this is really the mother of all technologies, artificial intelligence.
Interesting. And with this big change in the next years, how can we be sure that it remains positive for the human being? You said, Gael, that you are not sure that what can we do with technology, which is this question always arises when we talk about technology, like the telephone could be used to bomb, to make war, but the telephone is positive. So at the same time, I think we have to fight to not let the technology be used for bad purposes.
Yeah, imagine in the near future that we don't have any more phones. We don't have that kind of technology. Today, you want to call your friends, you take your iPhone or your phone, Samsung or whatever, and then you call your friends. There's already a technology where people are working on, which would mean your brain is directly connected to internet. So you have access with your brain, with a sort of wireless, to any information. So you are able to call your friends with your brain. That's what it means. Great. I mean, it's fantastic. You don't even need to use a phone. You don't even need the batteries to communicate with everybody. But imagine the other way. That means internet is also constantly connected to your brain. That means all your friends can contact you at any time. You don't have any private time anymore. So you are totally connected to the internet. You have access to everything, every information, but everybody has access to you as well. So the best vacation that we're going to have in that case will be to be able to disconnect yourself to the internet. And I think this is the kind of technology that is coming up. So if we have this kind of technologies coming, we should be able to control exactly what is coming as information in our brain. Today, most of the data is going to America, to the GAFAM, to Facebook, Apple, and so on, Microsoft. And I think those data, we don't control them. We don't own them. I think it should be possible to create something, a platform, a European platform that would be able to be controlled by the governments, not just one entity like Wikipedia, but all the governments together, so we can have all those data on a platform that is open. So we have access, we can make our own decisions about the data, and we can decide if we want to sell the data for Facebook, if we want to sell the data to Apple. Because in the future, when we are all connected to internet, all the data that is going to come, if it's commercial, it will be only to sell your products, to manage your brain, to make you feel like you want to consume, and so on. So again, I'm really for development, but I think we should have control on it. And it's today that it's happening. I don't know what you think about this, but I think it's really something we need to organize today and not just let it go. And the InMove being open source, it's a little drop in the ocean for the kids of tomorrow to think, okay, this robot is open source. Why is it open source? Why was it open source when I was a kid? Because maybe we need to think of the data. We need to think of controlling our own data for the future.
Well, I think technology is not good nor bad. Technology is what you make of it. Two of the most important technologies, the first one 500,000 years ago, which is fire. Fire can be good for cooking and for keeping you warm, but it is also bad to kill people, right? You can actually make torches and burn people. Another one is atomic energy. You can use it to generate electricity or to create nuclear weapons. So technology is not good nor bad on its own. The problem is what we humans do with it. So I'm not worried so much about the technology. I'm worried about us, humans. And therefore, I think we should be more intelligent. That is why I love artificial intelligence, because it will make us more intelligent. And so I'm not afraid of artificial intelligence. I am afraid of human stupidity. That is the real problem, human stupidity. And we humans, we are naturally stupid. So if we can become more intelligent, then we should welcome that. I imagine all of you want to be with intelligent people. You want to have intelligent children, right? You don't want to have stupid children. You don't want to be with stupid people. So we should be able to become more intelligent now with artificial intelligence. And so we will be improving the human condition from this current level of stupidity to a more advanced level of more intelligence. In fact, in transhumanism, we talk about three main areas: super intelligence, super longevity, and super well-being. Those are the three main factors, areas of transhumanism: super intelligence, super longevity, and super well-being. And I think for that we need more intelligence and more longevity.
Interesting. And you said, and I agree, that technology is not good or bad itself.
You can, like you say, you can take a bottle, give it to someone, he's going to use it to give water to another one is going to break it to kill. So it's just a tool. Artificial intelligence is going to be a tool, and it's how we build it, how we think of it.
So imagine that people hearing us here wants to participate in this movement and create a good technology, and maybe there are kids that are deciding what study in the future, or there are workers that want to join an organization or company. What do you recommend to them to be part of this movement?
I think it's at every level. We feel like, yeah, but what can I do? I think it's everybody can talk to each other, and even people in the government, they need to be aware that it's not just going to be a little startup that is going to create the artificial intelligence. It's all the data, all the information that we are putting together. It's all the algorithms that are working separately. At some point, they're going to connect. We're going to find a way to integrate them, and they're going to be able to communicate with each other. When this is going to happen, it's called the singularity moment. When this is happening, it's definitely a moment when it's going to be difficult to go backwards, to make new choices, because it's going to be already happening. Imagine that it's Google, I think, that did this. They did 3 computers. So you have 2 computers, they can communicate with each other with a certain language. The third computer also can communicate with the same language. What they do, they separate the third computer from those 2 computers communicating, and they create their own language between each other. At some point, they try to bring in the third one to understand what the 2 are saying. The 2 there, what they do, they transform in real time their language, so like this third one cannot get into the language. He's not able to understand anymore. So imagine the human trying to get into this when those robots or those computers or these algorithms are calculating and modifying their way of thinking in real time. There's no way we can access this. So I think it's really important to, at every level, every one of us, we can decide, do I do something with my iPhone? Do I use the face recognition or not? Do I allow my phone to communicate with Apple to share all the information that are around me and so on? There's not really yet some platform to develop this kind of thing. You know, it's everybody's conscience.
And José Luis, you have a badge of European Parliament, so I think you have something to tell us.
Yeah, I think we need to be informed ourselves and inform others of these new technologies, because they are changing very fast. This is truly exponential. The advances we are going to see in robotics and artificial intelligence are absolutely incredible. What we are going to see in medicine also, it is absolutely incredible. As I write in my book, you know, we might be able to live long enough to live forever in the next 2 decades. And so I'm taking these ideas in the political realm, and I am actually now running for the European Parliament. So if you want to live, you need to vote for me. Election is May 26th, so you need to vote for me on May 26th, because politicians are not aware of these technologies. Why? Also because the political system is very slow and there is a lot of inertia, and it is linear. But technologies are changing very fast and exponentially. So the gap between technology and politicians is increasing. So we need to let people know that this is possible, that this is actually good, I think, for the people. And I'm particularly worried about Europe, because Europe is falling behind the world in many of these things. Actually, I can tell you, I lived a long time in the USA, and the USA creates, invents. Asia, China, Japan, they improve. And Europe regulates, regulates, regulates. So there is this mismatch and this terrible situation that instead of creating or improving things, mostly it is regulation in Europe. So we need to open the eyes of the Europeans as well of the incredible possibilities, and also be aware of the risks, because there are risks. But I think the positive sides are better. So we need to take these ideas not only among your groups, but into the political realm, and that is why I decided to run for the European Parliament next year. So, again, seriously, vote for me.
And let's talk about disappointment. There's a movie that you all know, 2001, A Space Odyssey, written by, the book was written by Arthur C. Clarke. You talk about him. And this movie was released, I think, the year that men get to the moon. And we thought that in 30 years we will have technologies like super artificial intelligence. We have very advanced spacecraft. But in 2001, we have nothing of that. We have internet, we have Yahoo, we have Terra in Spain, but it's not what we thought. And there's a very interesting cover of the MIT magazine, and it's Buzz Aldrin, one of the first men in the moon, and he said, "You promised me colonies on Mars, instead that I have Facebook." So that's the that I call exponential disappointment. I mean, we are striving for have this kind of technologies, but we are very slow. What do you think about that?
I really didn't understand the question. No, I'm joking. I think it's very funny when we see some videos of 1950s about the future, and it's really fun. And I'm pretty sure it's going to be funny when we see this video in 20 years, because it's for sure not going to be what we are saying. But anyway, let's speculate and let's imagine. I think within the next 30 years, I would think limbs, I already said it, but I think we're going to be able to replace limbs. And you say we're going to be able to solve cancer. And I think it's going to go so fast at some point, because the artificial intelligence is going to increase our way of thinking. We're going to be able to discover ourselves. We're going to be able to understand even more. We're going to be able, I think, at some point to even communicate with animals, insects, because of softwares. It's already kind of possible. We see already some technologies developing this, that we are going to be able to communicate with insect, animals, and so on. So maybe it's going to help us to understand each other, and go even further into the development. I'm not sure I understand correctly your question, but I think you will do.
Well, I think that sometimes in the short term we overestimate, but in the long term we underestimate. So some of these predictions from the 50s and 60s, they were very optimistic about many things that are coming just a bit late, like space travel. I mean, finally it really is beginning. Elon Musk and his company SpaceX have said that in 10 years we are going to go to Mars. And I believe more Elon Musk than NASA. Also because it is private money. Private money wants to make a profit. So if they are talking about going to Mars, it's because they want to do it and they want to make money, which is positive. But that was not expected at the time. Other technologies were not even considered, like internet. Internet was a dream. Even to Sir Arthur C. Clarke, really didn't understand how this internet thing could be. And it is the most radical technology we have today, and now artificial intelligence and obviously robotics. So I also tend to be optimistic about these technologies because we have to be optimistic about the future. Sir Arthur C. Clarke told me when I interviewed him 10 years ago that many of the things we believe in are self-fulfilling prophecies. If we believe that we will destroy humanity, it will probably happen. But if we believe that we will improve the condition, we will travel to other planets, we will discover new things, we will become more intelligent, then we probably will too. So it is in our minds. Most of the things we do are first on our minds before we create them, we make them. And that is why it is so important to be optimistic about the future. This was also discovered on totally unrelated circumstances in the Nazi concentration camps. That the people who thought that they were going to die, they were the first ones to die. But the people who thought, oh, maybe I'll survive, I'll try to be positive, those were the ones that more or less survived and made it to the end. So in the best of worlds, or in the worst of possible worlds, we have to be optimistic. So that's why I think artificial intelligence is good. It's going to make us more intelligent, which is fantastic. And we are going to be living in a much better world if we create it. Also, this doesn't happen by chance. We have to work towards that goal.
Yeah.
And the last questions before to open to the public debate. Let's make a bet about when transhumanism will come. I think it will be not a binary change. One day the Homo sapiens is no longer valid. I think we already started. But what are your bet on timing?
Sorry, you mean about the timing? When? What? I have no idea. I think if we imagine the artificial intelligence, we are all communicating with each other. We are all connected to each other through our internet and so on. At some point, you are no longer, you don't need anymore your body because your brain is communicating with everyone. We are one, and you can become just a microchip somehow. Your brain could be just a microchip, just a cell, okay? At this point, it's very interesting because we can teleport ourselves to Mars in a few seconds because we are just data. We can go even further. We can travel into space in no time. We can communicate with each other, and it becomes somehow a circle, like many religions have been talking about. It's a circle. We become back as just one cell, and we are one. We are everything, and we are one. I don't know how to explain this, but we could imagine that. I'm not sure it's the best thing that can happen to humanity. If we want to keep our privacy as we know it today, if we want to keep feeling like I want to drink a good wine and it's good, but my friend next to me is not going to be able to have that good glass of wine, we should keep how we are doing. That means develop ourselves, bring us to a certain level, destroy everything like we have been able to do, and recreate again. If we want to go beyond, understand further, I think artificial intelligence is the possibility and is the key to go further.
Well, talking about the future is always complicated, and we don't have a crystal ball. But having said that, I rely very much on the forecast of my friend Ray Kurzweil, who founded Singularity University and who is publishing a new book next year called The Singularity's Nearer. His previous book was The Singularity is Near, and now he's talking about The Singularity is Nearer. and it is closer indeed. And he mentions always two dates. The first one is 2029, and that is the time when he expects that we will pass the Alan Turing test. And that is not far away. That is only 11 years from now, that you will not be able to know if you are talking to version 7.0 of InMove or another robot or a human, and you will not know who is human and who is not human. So that is 2029. And the second year that we use is 2045. At that time, we expect to have a complete planetary superintelligence, and that will be basically the singularity, the technological singularity. So those dates, and in between we have some other extrapolations. In fact, thank you for the question, because it is in my book. Seriously, there is an appendix in the book which is a chronology until the year 2099. We make forecasts until the year 2099, and then I talk about 2029, Alan Turing test, 2045, the technological singularity, when we are going to cure cancer, and all these things. And even though this is very risky, because it is written, it is public, you know, I expect to see it, because the changes are exponential. Even though they begin very slow, they keep on growing exponentially. And I plan to be alive for the year 2045, when we expect to reach the singularity and immortality. And so I do plan to be alive, and even better, I plan to be younger than today, because what we are working on is rejuvenation. We don't want to be indefinitely old. We want to be indefinitely young. That is the objective. Those are the dates. In fact, Ray Kurzweil is so famous about this that he made a fantastic bet in the year 2002 against another very famous engineer, Mitch Kapor. Mitch Kapor created the first spreadsheets. All of you know Excel, but before Excel there was Lotus 123. And Mitch Kapor is the creator of Lotus 123, and he bet against Ray Kurzweil $20,000 if we would pass the Alan Turing test by 2029. We are convinced, I'm with Ray Kurzweil, that we will reach that target by 2029. So I plan to be alive. I hope you will be alive too. And we will all celebrate that we will pass the Alan Turing test with versions 7.0 of InMove, which will be open source, totally decentralized, distributed, incredibly smart, and making us smarter.
I hope we're still alive in 25 years, and we will younger than today, and we will repeat this table in Maker